What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Justin Rodriguez, your favorite lender here at Neighborhood Loans, and we're back with another episode of Cafecito Talks. And as you see, we have a lot of different environment here, and I am super excited to announce our guest, okay? Our guest today is Ben Lalez, one of the biggest agents and real estate teams in the city of Chicago, and a little bit different on his background. I did do a little research. Typically speaking, I come in just complete blind, but this guest, I knew that I loved everything about his social media presence and everything he's done thus far. And I was super excited to bring him on. So obviously, I know you have a little background flipping, you have your own real estate team, and just have an overall amazing story. So I just want to dive deeper into who you are as personally,
Please.
who you are as a person. And I want to personally say thank you so much for taking the time to being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you for having me on Cafecito.
I love it, man. Well, give a little background on who yourself is and just overall what got you led you to the journey to where you're at right now.
So the story is son of immigrants from Iran.
Nice.
And my dad owned a hardware store in Hermosa at Armitage and Pulaski, right around the
right around the corner where I
it's
live.
still there. It's
Yeah.
now CNA Hardware. And I kind of grew up around like hardware, nuts, bolts, like anything around hardware.
Yeah.
So my dad was always kind of in and around, buildings. And we'll jump ahead a little bit. When I graduated from college, it was 2010. It was obviously the financial downturn, and you could buy stuff for very, very cheap. And at the time, I was actually working for one of the biggest luxury home builders in Chicago, LG Development Group at the time. They're now LG Group. They still do like the biggest and best stuff now. And I was like some peon, like project manager.
Yeah.
And my dad goes, why don't you go, build something for yourself, do something for yourself. So never forget it. Lucky enough that he, loaned me the money. So I buy, a property it was at 1358 North Monticello. So Monticello and I think it's Fullerton. Is it right?
Very close,
Yeah. So, I buy it for $22,000.
What?
Put in 30, and I'll never forget, sold it for $128,800. And I'm like, oh shit, I guess this is what I'm doing now, right? So I pay my dad back from the proceeds, buy another one. And then at the time, they were like giving away property. So it became a formula, buy for 20 to 40, put in 20 to 40, make double your money and move on.
Right.
And that became the gig for a really long time. I got my general contractor's license so that I could like stop dealing with general contractors. General contractors in that like general price point and location, you're not getting the best, right? And they're all a little bit shady, general contractors in general. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to cut them out. And, I went out and I hired the electrician, the plumber, et cetera. And I started, flipping on my own. As I started flipping on my own, you have the first one was my friend's grandma who like loved me. And she goes, hey, can you do my kitchen? I'm like, sure. Right. And that started spawning, alongside the flipping, I started doing kitchens and baths for others. And then, as I started wanting more and more control over everything, I got my real estate license so that I could sell the properties that I was flipping. Then it turns into, hey, like my buddy wants to rent a place in Lincoln Park. I'm like, cool, I got you, no problem. And, that kind of grows and grows and grows. And I found myself, very luckily having like two really like solid careers. I was doing about $2 million in total project cost on the development side. And then I was doing, it wasn't a lot, but I got up to about $4 million in, real estate brokerage. So I have two like good, right? None of them are outstanding, but I got two businesses. And then long story short, I'm like, F it, I got to put one of them down. I decided to put down construction. And then, fast forward, here we are. I'm sitting with Justin, getting interviewed because, the real estate part really took off.
Right. Well, I love the story overall because I think what it kind of symbolizes that you can make money in a lot of different ways. There's not one specific way that anyone can and path that you have to do in order to make money. And that's why I like to bring forth to people is to kind of understand that there are so many different ways to make money. And you kind of show you went from just obviously coming straight out of college to just, like you said, a peon at your job. And now you're flipping houses and you're making money, man. And it's beautiful to kind of see.
So what has really been interesting about my trajectory, I think, is I never felt like I was a general contractor. I still don't feel like I'm a real estate agent or I had some property man. I didn't feel like I was any of those things.
Right.
And as I look back on it now, I'm just a business person, and like whatever it is that I decide to put my effort towards, like that's just what I do. But that's, I think, the true definition of entrepreneurship is, you find something that you think you can make work, and then you put all of your energy into it, and hopefully it does work.
Right. And I love that. I absolutely love that because I think a lot of individuals make it a lot harder and make it seem a lot harder than what it really is. And a lot of times the biggest thing that people have to overcome and the biggest hurdle is taking the jump and taking the risk. Right. And to a lot of people, you go $20,000 just to take the risk, and now your money's locked up into a property, and people are like, well, I'm too scared. I don't want to, take that type of risk. But when you take the risk, it's even if you fail, people have to understand, even if you fail, the one thing that you're going to get out of it is experience. Mm-hmm. And now from that point moving forward, now you're able to take that to any other endeavor that you want to do in life. And that's what people have to understand is it's not about the winners or the losses. It's just kind of figuring out how you can get to the next step in whatever part of entrepreneurship that you want to kind of get into.
So in real estate, that's exactly what I tell people who want to get into investing or flipping. I'm like, it's honest to God, if you buy right, if you have like a good agent and you buy right, it's really hard to lose, like truly lose money.
Right.
What I always say is like, typically, right? If you take out any outside factors, typically the worst case scenario is you break even. Like you literally come back to zero, but you walk away with a ton of knowledge.
Right.
And it's like you paid zero money for a really great education.
Right. And I love the story, how you kind of went from, you have so much different experiences. I can only imagine, from flipping, property managing, and then, having a real estate team that in 2022, you get over 160 million, I believe.
We flirted with 160. Yeah. 151.
And again, like to be able to have that level of experience, not only on the real estate transaction side, but the amount of houses that you guys have to see as a team and the amount of experience is priceless. Like I think people don't understand when you have that many transactions that are going on, that even outside of the production and the volume, people got to gravitate and follow you because of the experience that you have. There's probably very few scenarios that you have not seen in real estate over the last couple of years that you've
So
been
3 months ago, we crossed our 1,000th transaction.
Nice.
So 1,000 sales, not rentals or anything like that. And it's funny. Yeah. I actually said, 2 months ago, I'm like, there's nothing that we haven't seen. But no, it's not true. I had something happen literally yesterday that I had never seen before, where I sold a condo, we sold a condo for this person. We're on the list side. And the day before closing, she goes, hey, do I need to move my furniture out? And shame on me. I have never told someone that they need to move their furniture out, but it's the day of the closing.
Right.
Her furniture is still there. She hadn't moved out at all.
Right.
So we actually found, it was expensive, but we found a mover to come pack and box and ship the stuff to her same day. Wow. It was expensive, but you see, right. Brand new for me.
Right.
Yeah, we sold your property. You should probably get your stuff out of the house.
Right.
Yeah, but I guess you got to tell people.
You always have different experiences. It's always a fun day.
You see something now. I'm probably gonna start having people say, "Hey, you need to move your stuff out."
Right.
Just add it to
part of the script.
Right? Yeah, add it to the email, the 1 week before closing email.
Right.
Don't forget to move your shit out. But.
Right. And I think one of the main things that I want to pick your brain. Okay, because I sit myself right here in my chair, in my seat, when I'm early in my career. Okay, I've been in the business, a little background on me. I've been in the business for about 5 years, and I've been originating for about 2.5 to 3 years, right? And, the amount of growth and success that my team has been able to see over the last couple of years, it's humbling. I love it, and I love what I do. I think that's the one thing that I can honestly say, I love what I do. It's one of the best, most fulfilling jobs that you can ever ask. But now that I'm looking at it, the one thing I wish I could do is have that crystal ball and talk to my future self and see what does the journey look like? What are the trials that are going to occur? I just had a kid, so that's been a whole new journey within yourself. But when you look at your life right now and you look at it as a complete whole, if you were to look back 10, 15 years from now, did you see yourself being in the position that you're in right now? Or did you did you ever expect where you're at right now, or how does that journey look like?
Yeah. So I get that question asked often enough. And the way I answer it is like I kind of did what felt natural every year, right? Like adding one team member. Well, yeah, we can handle this. Then you add, some support staff. Yeah, that feels right. And I never have really looked too, and maybe shame on me, but never looked too far ahead, because if I set a goal like, okay, I want to do $1.5 billion or whatever the number is, or I want to have a 100 agent team, I don't know if, the Ben in 3 years is going to want that.
Right.
What I do know is, by next year, we want to hit X, we want to have this number of people, but ultimately we want to have, like, what I want to have is like a sustainable lifestyle where I'm not killing myself. Right. So we just take it, 6 months, a year at a time. So, but to answer your question, no, I had no, when you ask, like, did you know you were going to be here? It's very flattering, but like, no, I had no clue. We just took it, one day at a time, one transaction at a time, and it just stacks up.
Right, and it continues to grow naturally. And one thing I love is taking it one step at a time. When you're in the moment, feels every day. It's like, dude, time flies. Like I could go through every single day, and I'm like, how is it 3:00 already? Like I'm about to be going home in a couple hours. Like where did my day go? And time just truly flies. And I do believe it's because partially is you love what you do. You're in the grind, and you don't really feel like you're working. And I can truly relate to what you're talking about in regards to taking it day by day and figuring out what you want to do in the next 6 months, because a year from now you're like, what is going to happen? I don't know what I want. I don't know what my future self might want. Right.
You're going to move.
Right.
You're going to live in Chicago.
Exactly.
Do you want to get out of production? Do you want to have a team?
Right.
And you don't know what opportunities are going to present. Like, who knows? Like, you're sitting here right now. I spark something in your brain, and you might head off in another direction.
Right.
Who knows?
And that's why I think that one of the true important parts of life is connecting with as many people as you can. Because there's so many times where I watch Shark Tank or I watch all these different shows, and you see people who, like we talked about, take the risk, take the jump on starting their own business, starting their own things that can build generational wealth. Like, and there's one thing to build something, but when you build a business that you could build generational wealth for the rest of your life, it's inspiring to see individuals who take that risk, right? And I think that the more people you meet, you never know, like you said, who might spark an idea that you never really thought that you could achieve or do. And I think one of the main things that I kind of occurred when I first got into the business, my goal was to meet even if I didn't get business from anybody, I wanted to meet almost every agent in Chicago. Every agent, every attorney, every insurance, just to see how they built their business, how they structured it, and honestly to soak in the knowledge that people had. And in the process of doing that, I was like, man, people are normal. Like, people are people. Like, when you meet a top producer, they're like, oh, they're human, right? Like, and the more people you meet CEOs, you meet
secret sauce,
right? They're all human, and you're like, okay, how did this person get there? Simply by taking the risk. And
hard work, put your head down.
Put your head down,
that's it.
And
dude, it's funny you say that. When I was, how old are you?
24.
Yeah, so you're young. When I was like 20, around your age, I was obsessed. Like, what made Matt Lalez, Jeff? Like, what? Like, there must be a secret. And, finally, I get a chance to meet them, talk to them. I'm like, yes, they're normal, but they're also a little crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I agree. They are normal people, but they do something like at least one or two things like fanatically.
Yeah.
And then they're able to do that for extraordinarily long periods of time. And that's it. So if that's you at 24 years old, you put your head down and you do one thing fanatically, right? It's all gonna shake out to your benefit.
I mean, the only way that you could look at it in a perspective of, like, you look at the greats, right? You could look at the Michael Jordans of the world, the LeBrons, the Kobe Bryants, and they are a little crazy. They love their job to the point where they would sacrifice anything and the time in their day, because the one thing that we're never going to get back and every human being has is time. Right, so if you take the time to wake up every single day, put a smile on your face, and get to work,
and do it again,
right, and do it again every single day,
and do it again,
and it's about the routine and having the discipline to do it. And the people who are successful, you see, they do it every single day.
So one of the things, and here's something that you should consider, is I don't know if I came up with that myself or I listened to something or somebody told me this. I had I was lucky enough when I was like 25-ish to have like a good book of leads, and some of them were shit, some of them were good, but I committed to every single 500 consecutive days, and I tallied it, but 500 consecutive days. That's Saturday, Sunday, Christmas, New Year's, every single day I would follow up. I would sit down and, I had, not everyone needed to be followed up with, but I had like 500 leads, and some of them I never ever communicated with, and some did. But every day, my CRM would say, hey, you need to contact these people, right? And a lot of people, they wait until Monday to hit the people that show up Saturday, Sunday. But no, I hit them every single day for 500 days. And I mean, I'm one of 20 people who was willing to do that.
Right.
And the rest speaks for itself.
And do you feel like that's the root of your success?
That one thing?
Well, I mean, I guess the trait to be able to do that. Do you think that's the root of what built everything that you've built?
I'm not, who knows? Of course it's a little bit of everything, but what we're really talking about is consistency, having the ability to, not fall in love with immediate gratification. It's like all this shit it's been said a million times. And now here you and I are talking about it again.
Right.
But I think it's important for people to nail it into their head is like, yeah, like following up with 500 people, I maybe got 12, 15 transactions out of that if I'm lucky. But I did it, and I didn't need to see, a win every single day. I didn't need to see a win on day 332 for me to still do it on 333 and 334, et cetera.
And I love how you brought up Matt Lalez, obviously one of the iconic people of real estate in Chicago. So do you feel as if him or any individual specifically that you can kind of picture was a straight mentor for you to kind of grow, or like maybe look up to him to a point where it helped you grow your business to that next level?
So not Matt. I wasn't lucky enough to run into Matt. I had wasn't like mentors. I never had someone who's like took me under their wing, but I was lucky enough to have people in like close enough proximity where when something I would like run up against, I could be like, hey, what do I do here? Is that mentorship? I don't know. I definitely had guidance. I can name drop. My first two were these guys, Steven Johnson and Andrew Went. Like, they had a really small shop, and I kind of ended up there. They were gracious with their time. After that, it was George Furla at North Clyburn Group. And then at the very end, the last like pieces of guidance I received before kind of going out on my own were from Karen Biazar and Stacy Slattery from North Clyburn Group, who were very gracious with their time. But nobody tucked me under their arm and said, hey, this is how you do it.
Right. And do you feel like a part of the journey, right? Do you think it's a necessity for you to have mentors, or do you feel, because in your case, I tell people I think it fast tracks your route to success, right? Instead of you taking maybe 5 years to grow and excel your business, having a mentor will allow you to, that's okay. Having a mentor will allow you to get to the place that you need to be to a lot quicker.
Faster, yeah.
But for your situation, obviously it doesn't sound like you had like a direct person at all the time. So do you feel like, what did you do differently that allowed you to grow in a different way? Did you use more Google? What was like YouTube or?
Yeah, good question. It's interesting because I had, two different careers. I definitely leaned on my dad on the general contracting side, and like, what do I do when like XYZ happens on a project? On the real estate side, I had this notion, and in hindsight, I think it was wrong, right? I had this notion that I needed to figure out everything by myself, and I needed to go through like the problems on my own in order to learn versus someone telling me and then just trusting that they were right. And I made all the mistakes on my own. And I don't know if there's any like, romance in making all the mistakes yourself, but that's the route I took. I didn't listen to anyone. And I think that was a potential problem for me. And now what I tell my team is, what one of the hardest things to do is when you are faced with high quality advice, taking it. Like that's the challenge. How do you know when you are faced with high quality advice and actually listening to it and executing on it? How do you know? How do you know what I'm saying to you right now? How do you know I'm not full of shit?
That's true.
You don't.
That's true. I mean, I guess it's based on judge of character, like your judgment of character. And it could be that person is full of shit. But I do think a lot of the piece of advice that a lot of people give you is cliche. Like it's the same thing that you hear on a daily basis. I do lean a lot for me on my family. Like the person that my mentor, I got fortunate. I was blessed. My mentor was obviously my parents and then my uncle who's been in the business for 20 years. So for me, I knew it was genuine advice coming from and family could lie to you too. So fair, granted, family could potentially lie to you.
Yeah.
But I
You
do
had some
think,
trust, yeah.
right. I had trust and I confided in the things that he said and I followed every single thing that they told me. So I do think that if people on your team and people outside of the real world can really judge someone's character, that would be in my eyes figure out whether or not I trust their advice.
The people on my team have obviously, chosen that, the words that I say they're going to listen to. But I can't tell you how many times people are like, I'm like offering someone a spot on my team and they go, oh, but this person is saying this. I'm like, this is exactly what I'm like. You have to decide. Like, we're saying different things. One of us is full of shit.
Right.
And you have to decide.
Right.
Right. And then, sometimes they take what I believe is obviously the good advice, the right advice, or sometimes they take the other one. So it's hard.
For you, I think like when you meet an individual, right, like that you're kind of trying to grow your team, what's your overall goal at this point? Because I mean, I think it's tough when you get to a certain point. Like you get, I guess, the analogy I use is being on top of the mountain. You're on top of the mountain. You have a couple different avenues. You're chasing a dream, but now you're kind of at a point. Did you ever feel stagnant? Like, okay, what do I do now? Like, do you feel like
always?
How do you address that?
Just do what I know. Put your head down and do the work. You have to figure out in my position. I have to figure out where my inputs are most valuable. And honestly, right now, as I've kind of put people in place to handle some of I don't handle the got minutes. Hey, Ben, should I do 5% earnest money or 2.5% earnest money? I don't field those questions anymore.
Right.
Or if someone's like, hey, the email is down, what should I do? I'm like, talk to this person, right? So I have people in place. Now the question is, where do I put my energy? And we're trying to sift through that right now, honestly. So 2024 is the year of, okay, where does Ben, put his, we kind of joke, where does Ben put his psychosis? So last year was I went all in on, Google and SEO, and we unlocked some stuff, honestly. Now it's 2024. We have a mission of having a really intense accountability and visibility across the team. But it's a good question. I personally right now, honestly, feel a little stagnant, and we need, I like to be like this.
Right.
So finding where I need to put my inputs to get back on that trajectory.
I mean, I think that's the hardest part about life and business overall is you get to a certain point in life sometimes where you're at a point where you've grown and you've done all the things that you felt at one point was your number one dream and number one goal, and then you accomplish it, and then it's like, what's next, right?
Yeah. So it's you hit the nail on the head. It's how do you sustain excellence? And it sounds like you're a sports fan. It's all right, cool. You won one championship. Cool, right? Yeah. And then you look, and we have, honestly, we put up, a couple of years of big ass numbers.
Right.
But then you look at the Rushmore. You got Lowe, Laracy, Emily Sachs-Swan, Carrie McCormick. Those people have been doing it for 25 fucking years.
Yeah.
So it's different. So now you shift into, okay, cool, you're here. How do you maintain? Maintaining excellence is a completely different conversation.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because we're in an industry where we have a lot of people that you produce, but they fall off, right? Okay, maybe you did 100 million one year, but then the next year you're doing 20. What's the fine line of excellence, right? When can you and how can you do it consistently? But I also do think at some point for individuals, and I guess I want people to kind of have a perspective on what we're talking about. At what point is the time enough? At what point is Ben sitting there all right, do I want to continue doing this? How much time do I want to...
What does doing this mean? So,
right.
Ultimately, everyone's making their own decision.
Right.
I could personally put away, I think, 60, 70 million if I wanted to. If I didn't want to see my kids or my wife and work, 8 to 9 or 10 every single day, I could put away 60, 70 million. What I'm choosing to do is distribute that 60, 70 million to others and trade it for lifestyle. And, you know, my kids are 2 and 3 years old. Yeah, I'm trading hundreds of thousands of dollars in order to have a lifestyle that I want. And that's what I was saying is like, I don't know what 5, 10 years from now looks like. If I decide that I want to like coach my kids in whatever sport they're playing, cool. That's obviously going to change what I'm doing here today. And ultimately, as I'm like saying it to you, the goal, and I think everyone's goal, is to have freedom and flexibility to do whatever the hell they want, right? So if I want to go sell, cool, no problem. I have enough built where I can just be like, all right, cool, those are mine. I'm going to go, you know, sell some property. But if I want to chill and go hang out with my kids for a couple months, that's also a possibility. So freedom.
That resonates with me though, because like I feel like I'm in you're always gonna have that
You're 24. Don't give me anything too heady.
No, what I'm saying is I think when you're going through business, right? Everyone tells me that, especially on a high level that you're doing it, I think everyone has the growing pains, right? The first year for me, I did by myself, we closed 100 transactions. Me. Then we got an assistant.
Shit.
And you know, you get an assistant and you're like, all right, now you're like, all right, let's go. But the point is like when you add people, you get different pressure, right? Because now you're this person's depending on you solely to produce. And now you're kind of going to reject it because you have a kid now. So now it's time. Like time is something that I feel like you can't get enough of it, right? And I guess the reason why I love what you're saying is because I need to connect with more individuals on a level of where you're at to see how to delegate. Because I think one of the biggest things.
Let me help you out.
Right. And I think the hardest part is you never understand people, or people can't really do what you feel. I'm crazy. Like you said, I'm crazy. I know I can do it at a high level. I can work 9 to 9. I know I can because I love what I do. I have no problem doing it. But learning to delegate and learning what things should be delegated, what shouldn't be delegated.
I'll teach you out right now.
All right, go ahead.
So let's say what's your favorite thing to do on a Saturday afternoon if you're not working?
I would say I love food. So I would go try different coffee shops or something.
Okay, so let's say you're at like a coffee shop with your wife and you guys are just chilling. Right? And you have, you know, let's say you have dinner plans after that and you got a nice day plan.
Right.
Okay. Phone rings. Okay. And you need to, I know it's different now, but you need to go to the office to put some shit together.
Right.
Okay. The call is a $250,000 loan amount. Mm-hmm. You leaving? Or are you delegating?
No, I'm delegating that.
Okay. Is it $500,000?
The money, I guess, I've learned to honor my counter. That one thing I have said, like
everyone's got their price. You're leaving for something. And
I can see that point. Because at the same time, my girl, but again, it depends on your partner. Because if your partner is like, hey,
go get
wait
that money.
In the car, go get the money. Okay, stay in the car. I'll be out, and then we're gonna go.
No. I'm talking about you're canceling it.
The whole dinner. Ooh.
What is?
I don't know the price for my lady.
What is the amount of and what is the amount of money that's gonna pull you away?
I think I would feel too. Honestly, I think I feel too guilty though. Like I would definitely try to delegate. I'd be like, I'll make some phone calls to try.
Let's say the person wants Justin and they need you on the phone for 2 hours, and the rest of what does it need to be? Tell me what that call needs to be for you to step away.
The price?
Yeah. Let's talk about the potential commission. What does it need to be?
The amount of money that I would have to make. A $500,000 deal would do it.
So what's the commission on it?
1.5%.
So give me the
money. Roughly 7,500.
Okay. So 7,500. That call, right? Let's say it takes you 2 hours. You got to talk to all these people. You got to delegate it to whoever. 7,500. Right. You're in for 2 hours. How many more hours of your time to get that to the closing table?
How many more hours?
Mm-hmm. Of your time to get to
I actually have a pretty good team. At that point in time, no. I just need usually the initial application and then.
Let's say this person's shopping. What's the probability that you actually get it?
Pretty high, I would say. Let's say 80%.
80%. All right. So pretty simply, you value that time at about $2,500 an hour.
Right.
Yeah. So you just calculated it.
Right.
And right now, that's your over-under, right? So if anything is under that, you don't take it, you're willing to eat it. And if anything's over that, you got to go put the time in. That's how I think.
Okay.
It's a little weird.
That's a good way to break it down, because I never had the perspective of it. Like, how do you even determine? Because I think the hardest part is the growth, right? Like, I love growing because it's like, oh, you're excited, and, I love what I do, and you're just continue to grow. But I think the hardest part is figuring out the numbers to what makes me happy, how much money do I have to make, what do I delegate, what do I keep in, and what do I prioritize my time. And I think one thing I've learned is, obviously for me in my business, and that's why honestly I gravitate toward you so much, because you have a different perspective on business before, and I don't think anybody else did. You've been on social media for the last 4 years. I saw your YouTube 4 years ago. You're doing YouTube videos.
Way too long.
And I think nobody 4 years ago had anything on social media. Like, I don't think anybody has done it.
Isn't it fucking embarrassing? I only have 7,500 followers on Instagram after 4 years of trying this shit.
But again, you kind of developed a pathway for other individuals who are in the business to be like, all right, this guy's doing social media, he's very successful. Now I can kind of put two and two together. I don't think social media is number one way of only generate business, but at the same time, it's working for him. He's growing. And having that presence there, and I love that, because I think the number one reason why I've grown over the last couple of years is because of social media. That's the sole reason why.
You're not sitting here with me without it.
Right, and this is for me, this is a money-making activity. This makes me money, right? The exposure, right?
We'll see.
Nah, I think just the exposure alone, being with Ben Lalez, like that's...
Yeah, it gives you some validation or something. Yeah,
right,
I'm with you.
Right. So I think that having that perspective, and that's why I very much so gravitated towards you and your page and your team. Yeah. But I think... Did you, when you first started, like, I guess posting on social media, things like that, did you ever feel like it was a waste of time, or did you?
Hell yeah.
Yeah?
Well, I mean, I might take that back. I was a big Gary V guy at the time.
Yeah.
And, like, he was just like, you got to put out content. And then just like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll do it. And honestly, from the beginning, I knew it wasn't a waste of time, because I couldn't, I was nobody, right?
Yeah.
I started doing social when I was like a $8 million producer, and bump into everyone. People I haven't, like, oh my God, I see you on social. That was it.
Yeah.
But I say this all the time. I actually gave a big keynote speech at Tom Ferry.
Nice.
About how, like, I don't get any business from it.
Yeah.
Like, cold business. Like,
right.
Hey, like from a stranger saying, hey, I don't get any business from that. But what I do get a lot of, and this is literally from the keynote, is like, I get my best friend's college roommate's mom. Yeah. The mom has never seen any of my shit. Yeah. Right. But I get her all the time. Yeah. I'm getting her left and right. Why? Yeah. It's social. You can't draw a direct line, but if not for social, I don't think I'm getting.
And that's what I love about it. It's like, it's the amount of eyeballs. I always use this story, because when I first started social media, again, same thing. You're just posting a post, because you didn't know really what to post, whether it's education or not. And at this time, I was with one of my referral partners, and we did one of those TikTok dances, right? So I posted, and my mentor, he's not on social media at all. Like, he was completely against social media. He had none, and he's in California on vacation, and they're all at the dinner table. They're laughing, oh, whatever. So he calls me. He's like, oh, what are you doing dances on TikTok? And I'm like, dude, you're not even on social media. How are you even watching my videos? He's like, oh, I'm at dinner with the family. We're talking. And I'm like, well, social media's doing its job. You guys are having dinner.
Y'all are talking about me.
Right. So it's doing its job. That's the reason why you like to post.
So I have I won't name names, but someone on the team is like, man, did you see so-and-so's stuff? It's so cringy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're still talking about him right now.
It's working.
We're talking about him. He's top of mind. We could be talking about any other agent in the entire city. We're talking about this guy.
Right. So I agree.
You gotta get it out there. This is my favorite. So I'm assuming your parents immigrated, yeah?
No, but my grandparents did.
Your grandparents.
Yeah.
So you'll understand this. I'm at a Persian wedding.
Yeah.
And this old, one of the OGs, who doesn't even know how to, I don't know how he's consuming media. He comes up to me and he goes, and it's all in Farsi. He goes, Ben, I saw you on the TV. I'm like, this guy thinks I'm an actual celebrity because he opened up I don't know, he's on Facebook or something.
Yeah.
He saw something. And like, that's how deep it goes, and people, don't necessarily realize.
Right.
But you have to do the problem is, I mean, you got to do a lot of it.
Yeah.
And you got to stay consistent with it.
Right. I mean,
you know how many videos we've put out?
How much?
Guess.
A year or a day?
Total lifetime.
How many videos? 10,000.
Oh, wow. Okay. That was a high guess. I thought 4,000 was high. We put out 4,000 videos.
Well, because I was thinking about 4 years. I don't know how many years you've been doing it, but I just kind of guess 10,000. But I mean, I like this year. Dude, I post
4,000 is like
I know, but you know how many times I post a day?
Tell me.
Twice a day.
Original videos?
Just no. I repost all content. I post new content, old content.
Are they all video or no?
Yeah, majority. I mean, if I go to closings, sometimes I'll go to closings and post those things. But all content. I mean, I have 1,000 posts on Instagram, and I was like, I don't even remember posting 1,000 times. But like that's, I think, and the reason why I do that is, again, it's not. I guess the one thing, the misconception people have, right? When you post on social media, everyone's assuming like, I don't want to be annoying. I don't care if I'm annoying. I look at a commercial,
scroll past.
Bro, right? You look at commercial, right? Everyone has one commercial that they remember for forever, right? And you know the song, you know the jingle, and we saw that commercial every day, and you start singing it at a certain point. So I like to look at my social media the same way. I'm a commercial that you're going to be seeing me every single day, and that's the way that I'm going to market it.
You know what my goal on newsletter is?
What?
To have people go, oh, Ben, delete.
Yeah.
That's it. It's just another one.
Yeah.
They got my email. I'm in their social. They're getting a flyer. Like,
right. And it's subconsciously. I remember there was a movie that I forgot. It was a movie with Will Smith, and they made this Chinese guy make a bet. Right. This Chinese guy and Will Smith are arguing. Oh, we're gonna make a bet, whatever. And they had to bet on which number. Which football player you had to point out, right?
I know what you're talking about. I saw this on TikTok also.
Right, I see this on TikTok, right? And so, but it's funny though, because all it was they made that Chinese guy subconsciously look at the number 69 every single part.
Yeah.
If he was walking out of a hotel, everything was showing 69 the whole entire day. So they bet their money because subconsciously he was seeing 69 that he was going to pick player number 69.
This is something so specific, nobody's not going to know what you're talking about.
I know, but the point I'm trying to make is if you subconsciously are on top of people's mind, whether it be on email, social media, and you're just consistently there, and even if they're deleting it, they saw your name. And you're going to be on everyone's top of mind. And that's the goal that we're trying to get in sales. And people have to understand that. And in sales, the number one thing you have to do is get attention. You have to get attention on you, whether it's positive, negative, indifferent. You just got to get people to grab.
Let's get some negative attention on us right now. You motherfucker! Like, you botched that loan.
Right,
I'm never using you again.
I was on the listing side. I saw you. No, but I really do appreciate everything the advice that you're giving forth. I mean, one thing I want to ask, because I ask every high level successful person, what is your idea of a happy life?
I think I'm living it, honestly,
Yeah.
and that's. Being able to do what I want when I want to do it and, help others around me grow and, help them support their family.
That's awesome. But do you think like now you're at a certain level and a certain point where I guess because you have the capability of, like you said, do what you want when you want, open businesses when you please, like doing this. This is and for people that don't know the stuff that he's doing, you guys should follow his new page, Content Club. I love it. I love the stuff that you're doing, and you're helping small businesses.
Subscribe, dude.
I know, right? I love it. So, but
talk to your boss at Neighborhood Loans. This is the new Neighborhood Loans studio.
You guys are watching. It's all live. You hear it. But what I want to say is like when you're going to do different endeavors, right? You're going to open up different businesses, right? Do you have it in the mindset where at this point, is it just like fun to you, or is it like is there actual financial motive? What are you trying? What is your goal? You're trying to accomplish?
Why'd I do this?
Right. Like what are you trying to accomplish? Right.
With this, I was I am curious, so I guess curiosity. I wanted to see if I could make a sustainable business model based on subscription around content. I thought it was a void in the market. And I want to see if I can make something that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Sheesh. When it's like just having recurring income coming in 750 square feet. I want to see if this is duplicatable. I want to see if there's anything here. So curiosity, but I don't do anything unless I believe it can be profitable.
Of course. But do you think overall your main, is there a certain number? Because there was a quote that I heard, right? and this is one from one of my good friends. I didn't expect him to say this, but he said it. He said, I want to chase a lifestyle, not an income. Right? Like, is there a certain lifestyle that you want to be able to live? Because at a certain point, like, it's just,
yeah. I mean, I mentioned it. The lifestyle is, I'm not 100% there. I still need to like work.
Yeah.
Right. I had to come into office today. I had to sit on this fucking podcast with you.
Right.
I'm just joking. But I think it's the point where it's like I want to get to a place where I could take 2 months off and nothing happens to the business. The income still keeps coming in. The clients are happy, the agents are happy, and things are running on its own. That's the end goal. And then you really get to decide if you want to work and if it's feeding, whatever part of that soul it is, you come to work because you want to work, not because you have to work.
Right.
And I think that's
that's my main goal. I know that's for a fact. That's 100% my goal.
Yeah.
And one thing that fascinates me about your situation and every individual that produces at a high level, how do you get individuals to trust you, right? Obviously, out of all the brokerages they could choose, they choose you and your team. What is it specifically? And did you have, I guess, for the first time, the two-part question, the first time that you got someone to come to your team, did you kind of have it in the back of your mind, like, I don't know why someone would trust me, or like,
No.
what was that journey look like then?
I mean, the first guy I just had too much business. And I was like, I need you to come on board because I have too much business. And like, he had to like trust that, but it's really easy to see if I was full of shit or not in like the first week.
Right.
And that was like the first several people, right? Like similar to the conversation we had, is like, I'm not touching anything under 200,000. You take it. Then I'm not touching anything under 300. You take it, and so on and so forth. But eventually he got to a level where it wasn't worth our time. So you bring on a third person. So it starts with like value. We knew we could provide value to the people who are coming onto the team. The value at the start was the opportunity. The value as we've grown has kind of compounded. So now we offer like this, for example. This is a type of value that nobody else can provide, right? Like, come in, shoot content, and we'll take care of it for you. Like, we have transaction coordinator, scheduler, like top line marketing, we're a Zillow Flex team, et cetera.
Right.
So to answer your question, it's like, why do people choose us now? Is because of the value proposition that we provide. Not only do we have like actual physical stuff that you can consume, like content, but then you also get to hear from, not only me, right,